Very good afternoon. Labour's ruling body is due to meet in the next half hour to decide whether the party should fully adopt the international definition of anti-Semitism.
The row has engulfed the party for months, and there are now concerns a so-called free speech clause allowing criticism of Israel may cause further splits. Well, earlier, the Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn had little to say when pressed on the matter.
Mr Corbyn, what's your message to the Jewish community this morning?
Good morning, how nice to see you here.
What's your message?
Good
Can
morning,
you help
how
the
nice
rift
to see
with
you
the
here.
Jewish
How
community?
nice to see you here. Thank you.
Well, protesters from both sides of this argument are demonstrating outside the party headquarters. Groups, including Jewish Voice for Labour, are calling on the National Executive Committee to resist calls to adopt that definition of anti-Semitism. They argue it will restrict freedom to criticise Israel's actions against Palestinians.
Well, rival protesters wrapped in Israeli flags also condemned Labour as being, for the many, not the Jew.
There's going to be questions for many of us about our future within the Labour Party. The Parliamentary Labour Party votes on a motion on anti-Semitism tomorrow. If there is any doubt about the decision that the NEC takes today, this will go to the annual conference in only a few weeks' time. This issue is not going to be shut down today by the NEC fudging it again. There needs to be a clear acceptance of the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism. That's the only thing that will be acceptable to the vast majority of those of us been raising concerns about this issue.
The point is that, and we know this, that the IHRA examples in their present form have been used to fetter freedom of speech. And look, there can be no greater authority, can there, than the author of the IHRA examples, Kenneth Stern himself, has said that it will fetter and impinge upon, and indeed has been used as, a fetter on freedom of speech. So if the author of the examples and many other more eminent minds than mine certainly say there are real concerns about it, you know, I think that we need to listen to them and make sure that we're not boxing ourselves into a corner.
Well, Sky's political correspondent Laura Bundock is at the Labour Party headquarters in Westminster. Such big divisions within the Labour Party about this. What is the prospect of them being able to reach a conclusion that will draw a line under it and allow the party to move on today?
Well, the NEC, Labour's ruling body, is very much hoping that they can draw that line under it, as you put it, Jane, but it's not going to be easy, frankly. We had the two sides, the two groups of protesters here a little earlier. They've now moved on. And in just half an hour, the NEC will start debating it. We're told half an hour, apparently, is all the amount of time that's been given on the agenda to look at this issue. I'm sure that debate will last a lot longer, though, because the protest, the problem of the anti-Semitism row has continued to plague Labour throughout a summer during which the party had really hoped to move on to policy, to be discussing its policy with other issues, social issues and Brexit, but of course those headlines simply didn't go away. The party failed to get a grip on this issue. Now I'm sure the National Executive Committee will agree to fully adopt that international definition of anti-Semitism and all the examples, but I think the contentious point now might be talk of whether or not there'll be a caveat added, a caveat that would allow and clarify exactly how freedom of speech can be used regarding any criticism of Israel. There are a lot of people here who are supporting of that, saying that would be very important, that they are not restricted in criticising the Israeli state. However, others are saying leave the definition in full with all examples as it is, because any attempt to do otherwise will undermine what's being trying to achieve here, and that is to try and unite the party, to try and move on from this row. And that is the big job for Jeremy Corbyn, who's due at this meeting shortly too. He knows that he has got to try and bring together all the rifts that have been appearing over the summer, those schisms that seem to be getting deeper and deeper. I spoke to a senior rabbi at the end of last week who said fully adopting the definition and all its examples is a positive move. It's a step in the right direction, but it is only a small step towards what will be a long journey if the Labour Party is to move away from this and fully restore trust within the Jewish community.
Laura, thank you very much.
Some breaking political news. The GMB union, trade union